at the moment, I am taking care of everything. Josh has been assisting me with trying to get everything back. It's been a pain on both our ends. We've been trying for like the past week, and like YouTube is giving us hell over it. Google is giving us hell over it, and we are doing our best.
Well, lo and behold, everything I've warned you that would happen is now true, and now Josh is lying to Fatty, because Fatty is saying he was hacked and that the password was changed 2 weeks ago. That Fatty didn't do it, and he says Josh didn't do it. Well, actually, that's impossible, Josh, because we've got a Discord leak from 13 days ago where you said this.
I'm going to come over there, and we're going to set up your passwords and make sure everything's straight.
I'm waiting for email back.
I understand.
He just said, we're going to come over there. I've got the authenticator. We're going to set up your passwords and make sure everything's straight. But he says some more.
Harrison, there's a fucking authenticator on my phone, and I'm pretty sure we can get it done in like 5 minutes.
This is what I've been warning Fatty about this entire time. I've got an interview right here I want to play for you from a person that was with them. But we have, because of the live streams, now video evidence that Josh is telling Fatty a hacker changed his password and Fatty's still locked out of YouTube. In reality, we have Josh's own words admitting he had the authenticator. How likely is it, my friends, that Fatty has no issues with his account for the entire time he had his account, and this manager comes into play who on live streams we see putting Fatty down, demanding that he get paid by Fatty, driving with Fatty while Fatty's trying to get out of the car, Fatty saying that he's worried Josh is going to steal his computers, Fatty demanding to get his computers back, and now look at what's going on. He can't even log into YouTube. So you got to make up your own mind. Either it's the greatest coincidence that's ever happened, or Josh wanted to make sure that Fatty didn't kick him out as the manager and changed his passwords on him. And basically, Fatty needs to wait for himself to get his YouTube channel back before he walks away from Josh, if that's even going to happen now. So basically, we're going to bring in Dragoncraft Gaming, the Dragoncraft Gaming on Twitch and YouTube for an interview because he was with these guys when all of this was going down. Here we go. And please go check out his channels for him for being kind enough to do an interview with us. Okay. Dragoncraft, you were in some of the live streams with Fatty, even the ones I criticized, and I apologized to you for that because, you know, when we watch that, we think that you and Josh and everybody are all doing this thing, but in reality, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but in reality, it wasn't that way at all. But first, before we go there, just because I want to send this to some YouTubers, you also have an opinion about AIRsoftFatty, Josh, and the computers. So what do you think about AIRsoftFatty being locked out of his account?
I honestly think it's really messed up that that's happening. I was going to attempt to help him fix that, but I kind of got booted out real quick by Josh before I could honestly help him.
So why do you think Josh is trying to keep Fatty out of his YouTube account? Why would he do this? What's his motivation? And because you've been around him, you know him. What's your opinion for why he's doing it?
I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it's two things. It gives him access to Chris's money, and number two, it's a control thing. It's Josh honestly has to be in control of things all the time, at all times, and I really think that he kind of gets off on the control that he has over Chris and his life, basically, at this point.
Well, you were around them, just based off of your observations and what you know from your friends. How much of Josh's how much of AIRsoftFatty's money does Josh get to use? Like, what has AIRsoftFatty let Josh do? Like
I know, for instance, that he bought $250 worth of merch for supposedly for Chris, and he was saying that there was going to be some sort of giveaway. Actually, his merch store just opened not too long ago, and he's actually talking about doing a giveaway with that. And the thing is that Chris ended up in the negative during after that at some point, and he was actually complaining to me about it, that he bought $250 worth of merch and it wasn't supposed to be that much. So that's one instance I know of for sure that he's used Chris's money. So, and I think that he even specifically said it was his bank account, that Chris's bank account that he had used.
So basically, Josh, due to their own actions and not due to anyone being mean to Josh or whatever, there is evidence that Josh has access to Fatty's finances, and we know now that he has access to his YouTube account. So, I mean, that is worrisome to me, because adults and some, like Josh and Fatty, haven't known each other that long. They met in a dispensary, and I remember seeing the clip where Josh just like quits his job to now that was, I think, in the clip that you were in. So let's talk about that. So that clip where Josh is saying Fatty makes $6,000 a month and he should at least give Josh 10%. Like, what else did you see while you were around that kind of like was kind of that kind of behavior from Josh, where Josh was really harping about Fatty's money or himself getting paid, or what else do you know about that?
I do know that Josh had specifically several times talked about, Chris paying him and all this other stuff. And it's really funny, too, because the way he says it, he sits there and he's like, oh, well, I'm not really all that concerned about the money, but I really want to just get something. And he'll quote some sort of figure or something like that. And he, a lot of the times he would always talk about how Chris is an asshole and calling him fat and calling him names and stuff like that. And it was just, Josh is a very condescending person is the best word I could think of about that one.
Is he condescending to everybody, or is it just Chris?
He's actually very condescending to both Chris and Aaron. Like, I know for a fact one time, because Chris didn't want to go pick up Josh from work, because that was something that Josh had Chris do all the time, and he was just getting really sick of Josh, so he had me go pick him up. I picked him up and brought him home from work, and I did that as a favor to Chris, because he didn't want to do it. And when I got him home, he literally yelled at Aaron to go get his mail. And his front door is literally 10 feet from the mailbox, and he yelled at Aaron like he was some sort of servant to go pick up his mail. And it was pretty bad. I was actually really pissed about that, and I even talked to Aaron in the van afterwards, because Chris had me drive his van to go pick him up.
So what do they say? What do Chris or Aaron say about people that do what people on the internet are now doing? You can see it in comment sections. You can see it on Twitter. Everywhere that Fatty comes up, people are telling him to get rid of Josh, leave Josh as his manager, like get out of that situation. What do Fatty and Aaron say more than what a lot of people know? What else have they said about it? How do they feel that you know of?
Well, I mean, I know when I was talking to Aaron in the van, he was saying that it's okay. He's been treated worse by people. He can tolerate it and all this other stuff. I mean, the feeling that I got, at least from Aaron, was that he feels like Josh is necessary for some reason for him to get, famous and everything like that. And then with Chris, I know he didn't like it. He said to Josh all the time that he didn't like the way he treated him. But the thing is, though, is that Josh would say, "Oh, well, everybody's gonna leave you. Nobody's gonna want to hang around you. You're too much of an asshole. Nobody wants to work with you." And he's instilled this sense of the fact that he's going to be alone. That if Josh leaves, that Josh is gonna make sure that there's nobody for him. Nobody's going to want to work with him. Nobody's going to want to be friends with him. So now he's doing all this stuff to appease Josh, to make Josh happy. And so that way that doesn't happen. And I know this girl, Alyssa, is another person that is most definitely somebody that Josh uses, because he has a crush on this Alyssa girl. And he doesn't want to lose her, for sure. I know that.
Well, and you can see how Fatty's still really upset about his mother passing away, and I know he lived there with her, and all this, or grandmother or whoever it was. But either way, it's just, you kind of see Fatty dealing with all these issues. And one thing that I've learned from many people that I've interviewed before this one and talked to is that most of this happened after the iDubbbz situation, where Fatty got an enormous amount of attention with a viral video on iDubbbz channel, and gained a lot of subs, made a lot of views, made money off of it. Everyone I ask says the same thing, but let me ask you, because this all started happening after the iDubbbz, and a lot of these guys were around Fatty after the iDubbbz situation, do you think that they could be around him, because they're using him for his attention and fame and all that? And how much of that Josh do you think is using him for fame and attention?
Oh, he is most definitely using Chris for his fame, the attention, the money. Because the thing is like I was telling, I've told people before, like Aaron's a really good example of this, because he didn't have anything before, right? He hardly had any views. Josh didn't fuck with him. He actually really didn't even like Aaron. And the thing is, though, is that after Aaron won this contest on Twitch for some sort of contest with this guy, I can't remember his name, but he won a contest for like $500. And as soon as he won that contest for $500, all of a sudden, Josh wants to start working with him out of nowhere. And I think that's a really good indicator of how Josh operates. And there was one other thing I just remembered that I wanted to point out, that whole Marshall video that you were talking about.
The van video.
Yeah, the van video. The thing about the van video is that that whole thing started because Josh always insisted on driving Chris's van. He didn't want Chris to drive his van. And then Chris decided to stand up for himself and drive his own van. Josh got pissed, and that whole fight started. And that's why he got out of the van, because he was so pissed off. He didn't want to be in the van with Josh anymore. So he started walking. So this all happened when Chris, I had to go to a doctor's appointment, so I couldn't go pick Josh up because he had asked me first. And then so he had to go pick Josh up because he needed to go get his lunch. So I was at a doctor's appointment. He went to go pick up Josh to go get his lunch, and that's how all that whole mess started.
God, so it was more of like this buildup. Somehow, though, it's like Fatty stood up for himself. He even told Josh in that clip, never talk to me again. I'm done with you. It's like Fatty's getting out of the situation. He's taking back his life. And I don't know, something about what's going on here. It really looks to me like this whole password situation. It's like maybe Josh noticed that about Fatty standing up to him, saw the end coming, and maybe he did change the password, because I don't think it's a hacker. Josh has obviously told Fatty that it was a hacker. Fatty is sitting there saying, well, I didn't change the password, and Josh says he didn't change the password. In that one clip, he says that. And then he says, so it had to have been a hacker that did it, but YouTube won't help me. And I don't think Fatty realizes that YouTube needs to see evidence in the account about a hacker. He needs to see evidence. YouTube needs to see evidence before they're going to believe it. They're not just going to believe it because two people say they didn't do it, when YouTube can probably log in and see the IP address that did all of this was probably the same IP that's been using the account the whole time. That's not a hacker. So, do you think
definitely not a hacker?
Yeah, so do you think that Josh changed? I think Josh changed the password. So, I think that Josh, there's enough evidence there that Josh changed this password because he was on the account. He had the access to the account, and when Fatty starts demanding that, he starts standing up for himself and demanding his account and computers back, this happens, and then it's almost like Fatty, can't do anything. How does he leave there? How does he go do anything when he can't access his business or his career? So what's your final thoughts on Josh and Fatty? What do you think is going to happen to Fatty? Will he get his account back? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I don't think that Josh is going to give up his account very easily. And the thing is, though, is I really hope that he sees that this is not going to work. That there's so much backlash. There's so many people that want Josh out of the picture that he just finally gives it up and just gives it back. But I don't think that he's going to give it up as long as he has the control over Chris that he has. And the thing is, though, is like as far I'm not gonna lie, I really hate Josh. I really don't like him for the way he's been treating Chris, the way he's been treating Aaron, the way he turned Aaron against us. Like, I've never done anything to Aaron ever. I've only focused on Josh, but for some reason, Aaron doesn't want to be my friend anymore after years upon years of us being friends. So excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're fine, bud.
It's obvious that Josh had to have put some stuff in his head about us, about me, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, that really hurts because we've been friends for years. And the thing is, though, is that I have the only thing I have to really say is this is like something that's directed towards Chris, is that, dude, don't believe anything that Josh tells you about us. We're not going to abandon you. If Josh leaves, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here. I mean, I've been your friend. I've even told you I don't care about your fame. I don't care about your money. You're my friend. I even told you not to plug my channel in your stuff because I don't want you thinking that's why I'm there. The reason why I'm there is because I'm your friend. It doesn't have anything to do with Twitch. It doesn't have to do with anything with YouTube. I'm your friend, man. If you want to come back here, this is a safe place for you. Always.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, dude, because, you know, Fatty going in and going through all the pain he's gone through with the loss of his family member, and then having this happen, it's kind of the opposite of what needs to happen for him to get over that. And you can tell that you guys, after meeting you and a bunch of the other people that have been close to Fatty, you know, I can tell you guys want the best for him. And it's like he's never even had a negative bank account up until this started happening with Josh. So it's like Josh just isn't a good manager for Fatty. Now, if Fatty wants him to be his manager, that's fine. I think that all of us agree that Fatty's an adult and he can make up his own mind. But I've been on YouTube for 4 years. I've talked to big YouTubers and small YouTubers, and never once has another person had an authenticator or the password for that person's account. I know people that have multi-channel networks they work with, and they never give them that. So I could be wrong there, but, you know, it just seems so crazy because someone's got to help him. So we're going to keep working the story, man. This is just another step in. I just want to thank you. I'll have your YouTube and Twitch and all that up on the screen throughout. So just appreciate it, man. And I'll see you back in Discord.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Anytime.